In this watercolor tutorial, I will show you how I painted this simple Christmas card featuring a few colorful evergreen trees with festive glitter. This is a great tutorial for beginners in watercolor. I will guide you through the process step by step. Let's get started. First, mix up a big juicy puddle of cobalt blue with a bit of cerulean blue mixed in. I'm using my Princeton Aqua Elite 1.5-inch wide Mottler brush for the first big wash. Using this wide, flat brush, I lay down a smooth, even wash from top to bottom. The paper is dry, and I have the surface at about a 30-degree angle to allow the paint to flow down the paper. As I get near the bottom 1/3 of the paper, I bring in a bit of Quin Rose. You can use whatever cool red you have. But note, the wash is still very light, very fluid. I don't want a dark value in the background. Allow the wash to dry completely. Once dry, you should see a smooth, flat wash like this, with that rose-colored glow near the bottom. Now I take my Princeton Neptune #1 Mottler brush, and with only clean water on the brush, I wet the bottom half of the paper. I'm applying the water gently so as to not disturb the paint already on the paper. This soft Neptune brush is a perfect brush for this kind of delicate work. I've mixed up a puddle of green gold, and I use the Mottler brush to apply blocks of light green wash. This represents background foliage. I want there to be just a gentle hint of trees in the background. I'm keeping the wash very fluid, very light. I work the wash to the bottom of the paper, darkening the mix with an addition of blue as I progress down to the bottom. This variety of color will give a nice background to the trees that I will paint in the next step. Let the painting dry completely once again. Here is what the background wash should look like at this point. Now mix up a darker valued, thicker mix of green. I'm using green gold and ultramarine blue. Since the first trees to be painted will be more in the background, I want them to be more blue in color. Remember, objects further away appear more blue. Objects closer up appear warmer. So I'm mixing up a green with more blue in it. When I'm done mixing, I have 3 distinct greens on my palette: a cool bluish green at the bottom, a middle sap green in the middle, and a warm gold green near the top. I will use all of these greens as I paint my trees. Using a synthetic watercolor brush with a fine point, I begin painting the trees. I am focusing on the edges of the trees, painting that uneven edge of the fir branches that stick out from the tree. In the center of the tree mass, I simply drop in a variety of blues, greens, and golds. I don't attempt to paint all the branches. Near the bottom, pull the wash down with a wet brush. Other trees will be painted over this area later. I repeat the same process with 2 more trees. I use the same cool green paint. Once done, I use my hairdryer to dry the painting completely. Next, I will paint smaller, warm green trees in front of the other trees. Warm colors make objects appear closer, so the foreground trees will be painted with a beautiful warm green. I also want these trees to be darker in value, so I'm using a thicker paint. Remember, watercolor paints appear lighter by adding water, so if you want a darker value, you have to use less water. These foreground trees are a different variety of fir tree with branches that point more upwards, so I use different brush strokes as I emphasize the edge of the trees. I also use my #1 liner brush, a very thin brush, to create small lines along the edge of the tree. The center of the trees are just a mass of green with slight variations of color. Once you're done, let the painting dry. Now I will add splatter to the painting for a little festive Christmas glitter. I mix up 4 different colors on my palette. These are bright, saturated colors: red, blue, green, and purple, as you can see here on my palette. These washes must be vibrant, pure colors, and they must contain plenty of water to create the splatter. I use a larger Princeton Aqua Elite #16 round, and I pick up my first color. By tapping the brush as I hold it over the painting, I get an organic splatter look. I've chosen festive, traditional Christmas colors that almost look like Christmas lights. I don't add splatter to the upper right corner of the painting, as I've decided that that is where I will add my Christmas greeting. This will make a great Christmas card. Here's my finished painting. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. Thanks for subscribing and liking this video. If you would like more free resources for growing in watercolor, check out my website at studio.krisdebruine.com. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and keep on growing in watercolor.